Hi everybody again, I'm Scott Connor from Trust Electric Heating in our session that we've got, which is Ask the Inventor. During this session we'll cover lots of questions that have been asked in during the week and live as well. But one thing that I just want to point out for everybody is if you ask one of our engineers to come around to the property, it's a completely free service. They will be dressed very similar to this with a shirt on, which will have the Witch logo, or it'll have the Neos logo on, or they may have a jacket or a fleece or something like that. They should all have ID tags as well, and most of them are DBS checked as well. So we're putting your safety first. So we'll jump straight into it, and our lovely marketing team, which are scattered throughout the room, can we please have one of the questions from our public?
So Gary has asked, he has electric heaters from another company that are probably due for replacement, and they make a really loud clicking sound when they're heating up or cooling down. Why do they do this, and do ours make noises like that?
Generally, no, we don't make any noises like that, but occasionally we will get the odd warm up, it's almost like a clank, I suppose, that comes from the radiators. Generally, you'll also find with lower class radiators that are not potentially built in the UK, that are mass produced, you will find some bedding in noises with those properties, with those products rather. But yeah, generally we don't have any noises. We have odd one, but it's very, very rare. And if we do, we have a method how we can coach you to be able to eradicate that problem. Any other?
So Helen has asked, is there a way to make the Neos heat up a space more effectively if she has an older home with poor insulation?
Yeah, the obvious answer there is either increase the insulation, but you can do some really simple tricks like getting simple secondary double glazing putting in place, using draft excluders and things like this that are really cheap ways to insulate the property, because the less heat that you're going to lose, the less heat that you need to generate to keep the place warm. So look for some simple things, like I said, draft excluders, secondary double glazing. You can fit this sort of stuff yourself as well, and that will help towards you losing heat in the room.
So Dan has asked, how quickly does the Neos heat up compared to traditional electric heaters?
That's quite a broad question, because there is lots of electric heaters on the marketplace. So you have storage heaters, which store up overnight, and then release through the daytime. Then you move on to your simpler, more convection panel heaters, which warm up instantly and then cool down instantly. They stop instantly. And then you have the middle ground area, which is like us, where we don't warm up at lightning speed, but we do warm up quickly, but we also have a delayed heat at the end as well. So the amount of usable warmth you've got compared to the cheaper ones, we keep the room warmer longer.
Mr. Davis has asked, what does the CE mark mean?
Right, okay. The CE mark, it's on here, it's not on here. No, it's not on here. But with the CE mark means conform to Europe, which means we conform to European standards. It's a very key point is this, because the CE mark is there to add a little bit of confidence to the customer when they're buying. And there's a few ways that you can get CE. I won't go into all of them, but the simple ways are you can self-certificate, where you as a company say that you comply to those standards, or you can get independent testing. We've decided to go down the independent testing route, and we use a company called Intertech, so big up to Intertech out there. And we use them because they run through the procedures of testing it to meet the European standards, and they effectively say that we do or we don't, so it's completely independent. So when a customer is buying our product, they know that it has gone through a completely independent test, it's safe to European standards, and they've got peace of mind with it as well.
Sarah has said, can the Neos be controlled by smart home devices like the Alexa or Google Home?
No, it can. Yes, it can. I said that wrong, because it can take any thermostat that's on the market today. So your Nest, your Hive, and all the rest of them. This can be put onto the system to make it work. So we can almost like build it as a non-intelligent product, so it's got no control on it, and it can adopt any control that you want to put onto it. So the answer is yes. But with the Protostat, which is our inbuilt thermostat, that's just a local thermostat for the product, but that doesn't respond to anything like Google or anything else. We do use a company called Salus, and again, big up to Salus because they work very well with us, and they do have those features built in. So yes, you can get that from us if you wish. Any more?
Gary has asked if he has a room with multiple radiators, can he group them together to work as one unit?
Yeah, you can. If you go down the Wi-Fi route, yes, you can. From the thermostat, that can control multiple radiators within the room, so you can work in a situation where they can all come on together, they can all go off together. Very similar to how gas works, unless you start messing with the valves and things. But it can be all on, all off. In bigger rooms, office spaces, churches, places like that, you can again be all on, all off. But we do advocate only warming the spaces to comfortable temperatures in the rooms where you are. So there's no point warming a bedroom to 20 degrees if you're sat in the living room. So you've got the ability to, zone rooms off and save on energy. Anything else?
Tom has asked, how do you decide the wattage of each radiator for a room, and do we have a recommended guide for different room sizes?
We work off a coefficient of 5. So what we do is we work out the cubic capacity. We do a little calculation, and this is again from the free service that comes out to you, and then we will recommend what you need in that space. Of course, we only build up to certain size of radiators, so most of the time we'll go slightly over. So we operate with a 0.8, a 1 kilowatt, a 1.6, a 2 kilowatt and a 2.5. We can build specials in between, like 1.5s if we need to. So we will, like, as I said, we'll measure the space and it will come back and say, you need a 1.2. In that occasion, we'll put something like a 1.5 in place. So we'll be slightly over rather than under. So we'll make sure that we get the job done. Any more?
So we've had somebody ask a question in the live, and this has come from Alan, and he's asked something similar to the question before. What size rads fit into each room? He has a 25.3 room by 3 and 3.3.
Right, okay. I don't know the calculation on that. We'll find out. We'll do it for you. I'll work out roughly what calculation that comes in as. And we'll probably get back to you in about 5 minutes. So keep watching, and what we'll do, we'll work out the cubic capacity and we'll give you a suggestion what size radiators need to go into that space. Just get a drink.
1.6.
1.6?
Yeah.
So it'd be a 1.6 kilowatt would fit into that space. 1.6 come as standard is about 70 centimetres wide, 65 centimetres high and 6.5 centimetres deep. Or we have juniors, which are a lot shorter at 40 centimetre and a lot wider. Or we have verticals, again, which are down to only like 44 centimetres, but they're vertical. They're about 122 high. So 1.6 should do what's needed in that space. Any more?
So Jill has asked, is it better to keep the radiators on a lower constant temperature throughout the day, or should she only turn them on when she needs them?
Now this again is a quite difficult question because there's lots of parameters where we could go right or wrong. There has been a release from some of the energy companies to say that if you are losing heat constantly from your room, it's better to turn it on when you need it and turn it off when you don't. Because let's say you turn it off when you want and off when you don't, and that's only going to amount to 8 hours during the day. So only for 8 hours are you going to be losing heat. If you run it for a constant period of 24 hours, for 24 hours you're going to be losing heat. Again, if you've got an older property, take all the measures you can to insulate it as best you can, so then you'll be losing less heat. And therefore it lends itself to keeping the heating on all day. If you've got a new property or a passive build, again you're losing very little heat, so it does lend itself again to keeping it on for a constant heat all day, rather than turning it off and having the spikes of demand. But it all depends on your property type. Any questions, please email in, please ring in, either myself or one of the team will happily answer any questions for you.
Bob has asked, can the NEOS radiators be programmed to use off-peak tariffs to lower electricity costs, and how would he set this up?
Yes, any radiator can be used to on off-peak tariffs, but but you've got to understand what off-peak tariffs are for. They were initially designed, off-peak tariffs, and back in 1954 or somewhere there, when the night storages came into place. And the idea was that they would store up a lot of heat and they would release that heat during the day. If you haven't got a product that can release that heat during the rest of the day, then you will find that you will warm the room up on the cheap electricity normally between 12 and 7, and then you will disperse that heat during the day, and you may only get a couple of hours out of it, 1 or 2 hours, but it's not doing the job what night storage heaters were intended to do, and that is release it over a longer period of time. So it's got to be right tariff for right product, and then you'll get the best out of what you're using. Any more, Leonie?
So we've had an answer in from Ben. So Ben's asked, when you're not busy with the Neos, what's your favourite way to unwind?
Wow. I do a few things really. I do play darts with my son down the local pub. I do like just vegging and doing absolutely nothing, but that's very, very rare that ever happens, so I probably shouldn't mention it. I do enjoy cooking, but yeah, not much really. And I do like walking. I've got a beautiful little dog. Hopefully we'll get a snapshot of him next week. But I've got, on 2 weeks rather, but I've got a lovely little dog called Pablo. He's a Frenchie, and I like taking him on walks.
So Lisa's asked, what is the installation process like, and will she need to hire an electrician to install the Neos?
Again, it all depends what you've got. We normally will look after the electrician side for you. If you do need a consumer unit change or you do need some work to be done, we again, from that advice that we give you, we will come and help you with it. Installation takes around about 10 minutes per radiator. If we're taking things out, it can take 15-20 minutes to get rid of a night storage and take that out of the property. But it's not an invasive installation. We can generally go into a property, 5, 6, 7 radiators, and comfortably within a day or half a day, remove everything and install our service and have it all up and running. And again, it's instant. There is no need to vent the room off for the next 48 hours or anything like that. It's just clean heat straight away.
So Martin's asked, can the Neos be used with solar panels?
Yeah. Electricity that's generated from solar panels can be used pretty much anywhere. So yes, it can be diverted onto the ring main so it can pick up the heaters or onto a radial circuit or something like that. Yeah, it can be used just like you do battery storage. You just divert it to a different place, or you divert it to the batteries, and the batteries can run during the night. So yeah, it can be used on that. Sorry, that's just a bell ringing, another sale. What else have we got?
So Faye said that she's heard that electric heating can be more expensive than gas. So how do we make sure the Neos is cost effective?
It's just use, basically. It's everybody professes that diesel is more economical to run than petrol, but if you run diesel wrong, it will be less economical than petrol if petrol's run right. So yes, gas can be cheaper to run because the unit cost is cheaper than electric, but if you use electric right and you do in a smart way, you insulate well, you can be getting to those equal points with gas, and obviously it's clean, it's good for the environment and everything else.
Tom has asked, how does the radiator know when to stop using electricity and rely on the soapstone heat?
When it reaches temperature. So when it reaches temperature, at the base of each of the radiators, there's something called a thermistor. It's a long cable, but you only see a little tiny bit, about an inch at the bottom. And because the radiators work by pulling the cold air in at the base, passing it through the radiator warm, and it comes out the top of the radiator's warm air, it's monitoring constantly is the thermistor, the coldest part of the room, which is the floor. So if you set your thermostat to 24 degrees, as soon as air passing over that thermistor reaches 24 degrees, it will signify to the thermostat, and then it will turn off. In fact, wait a minute. Here we go. So you can see on this one here, this is a little miniature one that we have. This is classed as a wave on the front of it. You can see it works there. But at the base here we have, if you can see that, the thermistor. It's only a small device that sits at the base of the radiator. And it gets controlled by this, which is the prototype. Very simple thermostat, very easy to use, up, down, 7-day programmable times, lots of other features built into it. But yeah, and the real world technology that we have to try to sneak in. any more for any more.
We've got a question from Jenny, who recently had a visit from one of our heating advisors.
Fantastic.
And she said that she recently saw one of our leading competitors, and they told her that they also have a different front and back to us, and that we don't get our parts from the UK. So she wants to know whether these things are true.
Right, there is only us, I can assure you, there is only us on the marketplace today. We have a patented technology with the dimples in the back. There is only us that use that. It may be a bit of salesmanship, maybe something like that, trying to fool people. I don't know, because I wasn't there. But I can assure you there is only us with a dimple technology at the back of the radiator. It's a patented product. If you want to call in, we can tell you where that patented product, what the patent is, and you can go research it yourself. All the drawings are there. And what was the rest of the question? Where the parts come from.
Our parts from the UK.
Where we can, everything we get comes from the UK. So to give you a bit of a rundown, the fabrication company is in Huddersfield, just an hour down the road. The soapstone blocks that we use in the middle, they come from abroad because the only place we can get them made, to be fair, to the standard that we want. All the cables and everything else that we buy in come from Doncaster Cables, which is just down the road. The thermostats come from LS Electronics, so big up to LS Electronics at the moment. And that's down in Nottingham. The overlays we get come from Scotland. So yeah, pretty much everything that we get, we buy from the UK wherever we can. Yeah.
So we've had another question from Alan, who's asked about the apps that we do.
Okay, because we build our radiators, and I won't say bespoke, but I would say we uniquely build our radiators. We keep very limited stock on board, so we run quite lean as a manufacturer. Again, we're just protecting the customer. We can put any thermostat that's required on there. So from a simplistic point, we go from the protostat, which is what I showed you earlier, which is, well, not that way, back there, which is this way, the protostat. And then we can go up to the Salus or heat miser, but generally we use Salus at the moment, which is a wireless thermostat. You can have multiple thermostats around the rooms, and then you can go up to anything you want, literally any control mechanism that you want to be put in place. Some complicated ones like LoRaWAN and various other ones, but we can put anything you want in place. So we can put heat miser, we can put a hive, we can put Nest, we can put all these things in place if you want them to be in place. We just supply it as a dumb unit, and then we load on the technology to comply with Lot 20, whatever. So yeah, you can have whatever you want.
We've had a question in from David in the Facebook Live, and he has actually has had a quote from us, and he is interested, but he said that he has been asking about energy saving and whether we can prove it against night storage heaters, and he's asked a couple of times, but he says that we haven't really got back to him if we can go into that a little bit.
We have never run a test against a night storage heater, and I don't think we ever will, to be honest, because they're completely different products. Night storage heaters are designed to run between economy 7 tariffs, economy 10, between 12 and 7. We're not. So what's the point in comparing us against a night storage heater? There's other factors that you can build in where you would choose us or you would choose night storage. Night storage does have that stored heat facility. If that's what you want, then buy a night storage heater. We're different. We offer storage, but we offer a medium-term storage. So we don't charge up overnight. We charge as you want to. We're quite responsive. So you can turn us on during the day whenever you want to turn us on during the day. We have compared ourselves against other products on the market that are similar to ours, and we do have test results on those. But it's one of those apples and oranges type thing where you never compare an apple to an orange because they're completely separate things and they've got different jobs within a property. So no, we wouldn't. What else we got?
Joni has asked in the live if...
Joni?
Joni.
Nice name, Joni.
Has asked if our radiators are suitable / good to use with off-peak electricity.
Again, back to my previous question. Off-peak electricity is best used by storage heaters. If you want storage heaters, There is an offset with it, I suppose, compared to our type of product. Our type of product is a lot slimmer, a lot more responsive than night storage heaters, especially if you run out of heat. I won't say it's very difficult, it becomes expensive then to run because you're running off inbuilt fans into the night storage heaters. Whereas with us, we're slimmer and we're responsive as you want us to be. But what I will say is there is lots of other tariffs that are out there on the marketplace today which give you very good comparables. One that I'll mention that we're an affiliate partner with is Octopus, and there is, oh, here we go. And there is the Octopus Cozy tariff, which we're great advocates of. That gives you 8 hours of reduced, 50% reduced electricity during the day, which obviously if you work out the maths on that, that's 1 hour more than an Economy 7 system, which only gives you 7 hours of not 50% reduced, just slightly reduced electricity. So if saving energy and flexibility and responsiveness and longevity and all these things that you want from a product, yeah, us and Octopus are a great choice.
Jessica has asked, can the Neos be used with existing heating systems, or does it require replacing all the radiators in the house?
Really good question. No, we launched a program a little while ago, probably about a year or so ago now, which was called the hybrid approach. And we're very aware of gas customers and night storage customers, and all the customers have got different types of technology out there. And we understand the pain of removing that, or removing a gas boiler system, for example, that's been in for the past 10, 15 years, and your radiators that have been in there, and replacing that with electric. So what we recommend is a softly approach. You can call us, we can come around, we can measure all the space that's in place, again free of charge, and we can recommend a hybrid solution where maybe in high demand spaces like living rooms or hallways or kitchens, places like this, you can remove 50% of the gas or 25% of the gas radiators, implement our system, see how that runs, and then you're not diving in head first, going from gas over to electric. You can do it in a softly way. We do recommend that as well if that's what you want to do. It's less pain for you, and you're not ripping out the whole system, and it gives you a taster.
Aidan has asked, if I move into a new home, can I take my Neos radiators with me, or are they tied to that house?
No, they're not. No, they're bought by the person. They're not bought by the house. So the warranty that we put in place for them and the guarantees that we put in place, yeah, I'll be on. What we will say though is, if you want to do that service, you want to keep your warranty, ask us to come along, take the product out, move it to the next location, install it in the new property, and then we're ensured that it's going to get taken off the wall and rehomed in the correct way. And we will offer this service. There'll be a small cost, obviously, because we're sending 2 engineers to come and do this for you. But it makes it easier for you rather than taking them off the wall and trying to move them yourself. So yes, all warranties and guarantees will stand if you get us involved.
So James has asked, how does he go about getting his Neos serviced?
1 second. Servicing, we have something called a trust care plan. I think it runs at around about £17 a month. And for that service, we will come around once a year. We will ensure that your product is running to CE standards. Everything is working, nothing's gone wrong. The thermostat's working, all the digital technology inside of it is all working. We'll give you a certificate of conformance to say that it has passed to CE standards and everything's working like it should do. What we'll also do is give you the option to be able to swap out the lid, the sides and the front of the radiator, hence turning the radiator back into a brand new product aesthetically. And you can do this once a year by changing this. Or what you can do, if you had say 5 radiators in the property, get down the 5-year point, ring us up, we'll come around, we'll do all the tests and the checks like we should do, and we'll replace all the outer casings of all your radiators, taking them back to brand new. Obviously sustainability is a big point for us here at Trust, so to be able to do that every year, 5 times for the next 25 years, means that your radiators are always going to be looking good.
So Jack's asked a great question. He said, how long were you in the army for, and how do you go from that to heating?
Well, what transition in that? I don't think we've got enough time left on the reel, to be fair, to explain that. But in simple ways, I was in the parachute regiment for a year and a half, and then I moved from the parachute regiment over to the military police, the Royal Military Police, as they're known. And that was me. That was police, and I came out with that, and I took my HGV license, and my motorcycle HGV, and my forklift. I had all the licenses, to be fair. And then where I went from there, when I got into Civvy Street, as we termed it then, I fell into gas and oil. The gas and oil environment, travelling all over the world, small team, commissioning and decommissioning petrochemical plants and oil rigs and everything else like that. And that was my first little taste into engineering, I suppose. And I've always had an inquisitive mind, and I've always questioned the status quo, I suppose. And then from there, I came into sales, first time into sales. And then from that, knocking on doors in Huddersfield, selling cable. And then from there, came into the world of plumbing and various. I became a qualified plumber, qualified electrician, qualified plasterer, qualified wall and floor tile. And then I was introduced to the electric heating world, which I found incredibly interesting. And then from there, we ended up here. You ended up here from 2014 as Northern Heating. We ended up as Trust Electric Heating, and we've got now new products we're going to launch this year. So yeah, exciting times ahead.
We've had a question from Kathy, who's asked, what's one piece of advice you would give to someone looking to invest in smart home technologies for the first time?
That's really easy. Buy our radiators. That's really simple, really easy. Now, what I'd say, get as much advice as you can. Don't jump in straight away. Don't believe the hype. A lot of these salespeople that come around to your property are in it for a sale, and there's nothing wrong with that, because that's how they make a living. But you've got to just get some good sound advice, and quantify it as well with reviews and various other things like this. If it doesn't make sense to you when it's getting sold to you, then it probably don't make sense, to be fair. So yeah, I mean, we will give you some free advice. We'll come around and give you some free advice. We'll let you know what you need, and we'll give you some options. We'll also cover water if you want hot water solutions. We'll also cover PV if you want that solution put in place, or battery. We'll genuinely give you some really good feedback to help you on your way.
And Adam has asked, what part of the NEOS development process are you most proud of, and what was the biggest challenge?
It was the dimples, to be fair. That was the hardest part, because we knew what we wanted to do. And the dimples, if you don't know, it's almost like... the dimples, here we go. You can't really see them on there. There is dimples built all over here. But the dimples are almost like pushing two egg boxes together. So when the air moves up the back of the radiator, it moves in a serpentine method like this. We don't slow the air down, but by making the air travel a greater distance, it's in contact with the heating element a lot longer, and therefore it extracts heat away from the radiator. The idea behind a radiator is to get as much heat into that room as possible to do its job. It's not to get red hot. It's designed to get heat into the room as quick as possible, which is why convection is a very good way to achieve them comfort levels rather than radiant heat. The difficult part that we had with it was if we had too many dimples, we tripped out the thermostatic protection devices at the top of the radiators. If we had too little, we weren't getting enough heat out of the radiator and weren't achieving rapid warm-up times. So, myself and a couple of others spent many nights over there, as it were, then, with drills, with hammers, and Salamander provided loads of product for us with various levels of height all the way up. It was a difficult, painful thing, and but we got there. We got to that cliff edge point where if we put too many dimples in, too many holes, it failed, and if we didn't put enough in, it wasn't doing its job. So we think we're at that cliff edge point now which we're getting the best out of the radiators.
We've got time for one last question.
Okay.
And this is from Cara, and she's asked, can we install the NEOS in places where there's not a lot of wall space, like underneath windows?
Yes, you can. We have 3 different ranges and multiple different powers of radiators, but they effectively go from a standard one, which is about 65 centimetres high off the top of the skirting board, but then we have shorter ones, which is our junior range, and they're only about 40 centimetres in depth. A little bit longer. They're designed for conservatories and going under windowsills where there's not a lot of space. And we also have the verticals ones where you haven't got a lot of wall space available. It's a premium, and they're only like 44 centimetres wide and 122 high. But yeah, if in doubt, call us out, and we'll come and have a look and see what we can do for you. And that is us. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. I'm also going to be inviting a couple of people on if I can, and I'm going to try get the CEO, MD, Fiona Connor, to come out and ask a couple of questions as well, and see if she can field a few. So yeah, thank you very much, and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks.